Welcome to a work in progress demonstration of my auto-rigging tool. I'll probably say that again later in the video since I forgot to record this the first time around. But in order to use this tool currently, if you download the script and open it up, you'll see some information about what it does. You can also read through it if you're trying to learn scripting in Houdini. I try to comment everything as best I can. See, there's about a comment every line for most of it until it gets kind of repetitive for certain spots like here. But what you want to do in order to run the tool is you want to copy this area real quick. You'll want to download the script, and then wherever you've put the script and the UI, which you'll download, you want to copy the folder that it's in. You'll want to put it on your OS as well. The place that I usually put it is just in Documents, and I put it in Houdini right there. You can see here, this is where I've put it. You want to copy this folder, and then you'll want to paste it right here, like that. And then you'll copy all of these lines. And then in Houdini, what you can do is you can either make a shelf tool, and in the scripts tab you can copy that and then delete these comment lines, or you can use the Python source editor and paste it there and then delete the comment lines as well. And then either way, you either hit apply in the source editor, or you can hit the button itself and it'll launch the tool. Alright, enjoy the rest of the video. Hello, and welcome to a little work in progress demonstration of an auto-rigging tool I'm making in Houdini that will also add character deformation. So whatever character you rig with this tool, you can also then deform it to be different body proportions and then set up rigs that way so that there can be like a whole lot of variation in the characters you make from this rig. So when you launch the tool, a UI pops up. You can choose your model, and I've been using this model, and it's kind of been my template for everything that comes from this, but everything works for different models. If you're importing from a Maya file that you exported, it's important to check this because of the scale difference between Houdini and Maya. So when we import this, it makes an HDA for us, and it makes a geometry reference, and that geometry reference actually is saved to the HDA itself, so that if you were to share this HDA with anyone, geometry would be here and they wouldn't have to do any extra file referencing. Next we have kind of the meat of this tool and what's still kind of in development. When you click the create locators button, as it says here, it'll create a bunch of null locators for you that then will be used as a reference point for the bone creation. Most of the locators are self-explanatory, like this one is named wrist locator, and these finger joints are all named logically. The elbow locator is named elbow. So you can place them in places that match your model. I've just set it up so that it matches this model by default. And then the face, which is my main thing that's in progress right now, is actually dependent on where the curves are, not really where the locators are. So you can move the locators so that the curve matches however your cheek is, and that's where the bones will be created, and the controls will be created off of the locators. Like I was saying, this is the most work in progress part right now, so eventually there'll be a locator for the eye and the pupil and the different eyelids. Yeah, and then the next button, which creates bones. At this stage you can see all the bones that get created, and if you need to reorient any bones, This is where you'd want to do it. The bones are created based off of normals that are created from the planes that the points create. So like the wrist, elbow, and shoulder make a plane, and a normal comes out of that plane like that. And these bones try to orient themselves to that plane best as they can. So when the plane isn't defined well enough, in places probably like the fingers, the bones can kind of get disoriented and be kind of rotated like that. So long as you had the locators in the correct spot, down the chain, the bone should still be pointing towards the correct spot. Just the Z rotation might be a little bit off. And the way you'd reorient bones is if you select your bone and you focus in on it on the network editor, you'd want to unparent it, and then you'd want to rotate it around its Z until it's at a place that you'd prefer it to be at. I set it up pretty well for this to match this model, but your model might be different. Then you'd want to reparent everything and move on to the next button, which is also a lot of work in progress right now. Currently, the capture mesh and make controls doesn't quite capture mesh yet, because I'm trying to work out a mirroring system for all the bones and controls at the object level. The reason I am still in work in progress for that is that Houdini's default mirroring tool, this tool, applies a -1 scale to things, and that can cause problems in exporting. There's a few solutions I'm exploring right now, which is why it's still a work in progress. Also, the face is still a work in progress as well. But what has been finished is in the HDA itself. You can see that a new UI has been made for the master control, which is kind of like the root. You can see a spine tab and a left arm tab and a left leg tab as well, and all the parameters that you'd need, such as any of the IK translates and IK rotates and the twist locator, this guy, twist stuff, have all been promoted up to the HDA, so you can see that. There's also some quick poses that have been set up. For instance, the if we enable bones here, since the mesh isn't captured, all the display stuff is set up properly. So now you can see all the bones. Some quick poses for the foot have been enabled, like toe roll, just pivots around the toe. Ball roll, or sorry, toe twist, this is what that is, just twists around the toe. Ball roll pivots around the ball of the foot. And they're all pretty self-explanatory. This rotates around wherever the heel locator was, which was one of the original locators. And these are all pretty self-explanatory. The left arm has a hand set up in here, and its own bone display and its own display options. You can see all the bones are all set up and the controls are all set up. The spine has FK and IK functionality. So here's the FK controls are a lighter blue, and then the IK control is the green boxes. And the arms and legs all get set up with a change, an IKFK change, as you can see there. So that's mainly what has been set up so far. The things to come are action buttons. Obviously everything is mirrored as well, is to come, and the mesh gets skinned. Then action buttons, controls for the face are to come very soon. And then finally the deformation that will allow the user to change the body shape of this character but still have a rig set up for it. So you can make a lot of iterations upon this model very quickly.